Hello and welcome to the DITI introduction video. What the DITI is a trigger to MIDI interface. It takes triggers and pads from many different manufacturers and takes those properties that each one of these pad manufacturers has and allows it to work within the DITI. That means that the DITI can read membrane switch pads, can read FSR pads, it can read regular piezo trigger pads, and it makes it very powerful because the compatibility can be different within each of the inputs. Now, all of these parameters can get very confusing and complicated, so we decided to create a new kind of interface that greatly reduces the amount of programming that you have to do. And I'll get into that in 1 second, but I first wanted to show you how the basic DITI works. Now you'll notice that there are 4 buttons on top. These are your basic editing buttons. You have up, down, left, right, and enter. On the screen, it tells you that you're in play mode, which means you're ready to play. If you want to change the kit, here it's kit 2. If I go down, it jumps to kit 1. And there are 50 kits in the DITI. So the way the instrument generally works, and the way that it's the conception of how this works, is that you would plug things into each of the inputs. And then after you plug one into the input, you hit the global screen and you define where I plugged it in. So let's just say I plugged it into 2. And then you move it over to one screen and you find what you plugged in. Is it an FSR? Is it an on head? Is it an in head? Is it a hi-hat? You find out what you plugged in and you name it here. You hit enter, and then that pad type loads in all of the stuff that you don't really want to know about to the right, like what the input type is, what kind of a trigger is it? Is it a trigger? Is it a switch? Is it an FSR? What the gain settings are, what the thresholds are. All the stuff is done for you. So theoretically, again, all you have to do is simply plug in your trigger, find what you plugged in, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and A or B, and then call it a pad type. And once you do that, the instrument is quasi-ready just to go. The idea is that the kits will be essentially general defaults for your Yamahas or your Rolands or your Addictive drums or Superior. You just find that default kit, you have your pad types in, and you can go. One of the things that you would probably want to do is to train the pad to your own dynamics. So when you press on the product like train, you can train your instrument. And if you have any interaction, you can do some interaction training by just pressing this button. And the edit button is for controlling note numbers and channels. And your global is for setting up those parameters that are within a pad type. And of course, the videos preceding this will go into detail on all of that. But I just wanted to show you quickly how the interface works. And here are some tricks about the interface. When you press on it once, it goes into edit. When you press on it again, it toggles back out. If you press on edit, it's always going to remember the last screen that you edit. If you jump from one type of edit to another, it remembers where you edited each one. So if I change this to threshold, I go back to, it's going to remember threshold. But if I get lost, I don't remember where I am in each one of these tunnels, if I hold down, it goes back to screen number 1. So there's threshold, but if I hold down, it goes back to the input type. Interaction is also one of those buttons where you just push on it once, it asks you to strike a pad, you hit the pad once, and when you're done, you strike it again, and you're done. Training is one of those things you push down, it asks you to strike a pad, you hit it once, you hit it hard, and you hit it soft, and you're done. So as you can see, there is a system on the pads that you strike it when each time you hit these buttons, they toggle between on and off, and that when you move to the right and to the left, you're moving through the tunnel, up and down, you're changing the values. And this is the basic operation of the DITI.